are up, our minis are up.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another patch notes update review. And today we have 11.6 bonus balance that has gone live actually today. 11 hours ago is when they posted this, I think. So roughly around this morning, early this morning, this at least on the East Coast, this actually went live. So if you're playing the game right now, it's all these changes have already affected the scene. But if you'd like to take a look at the patch notes yourself, the URL will be in the description down below. What are some things that we think need to be changed or like really good in the meta right now? So obviously with the pre 9.5, a lot of the guys that are good right now are your burst mages and your assassins. I mean, everyone got sort of a buff in terms of their damage, just by the consequence of everyone being less tanky and stuff like that, via protections and health, as well as the scaling. So but yeah, no, the mages have been really a lot better, and honestly they needed it. Mages kind of felt poo-poo, or at least not all that great, especially early game. I can't tell you how many times I played a mage early game and just feel like I do 0 damage, and now you start to or these games start to feel like you actually get to do something as a mage, as with almost every other god. But let's get into this. So okay, these are just like hot fixes. So first up, we got Nerf's Staff of Miran. Decreased damage dealt buff from 20% to 15%. So if you don't know, Staff of Miran, once you ult, the extra damage, or you get an extra 20% damage dealt buff to your kit. And some of these can apply to your ult, like Cuckoo ult, for example. After they finish casting, you get 20% extra damage, and then it slowly tapers off to 0. I think over 8 seconds or something like that. So you have a decent amount of time, and you know, Staff of Miran doesn't work on every single god, but on a lot of the gods they do work. It's really, really good. Like Chunga, for example, is really good with Staff of Miran. Going down by 5%, which is a pretty big nerf, but to be fair, with the time to kill being up, Staff of Miran, 20% damage is a lot. So honestly, I'm not opposed to this. I see this item built on every single god, even the ones that don't really get much benefit out of Staff of Miran. It's a really good item. It gives you everything that you need in terms of extra damage. Just base stats are really good, and of course, it gives you like cooldowns, so shit like that. So makes sense. Cuddle, this would be your tier 1 of your hammers. Decreased health from 75 to 50. We're decreasing health in a meta where there isn't a lot of health, I guess, or whatever. We're making it to where you can't be as tanky. I don't know. All right. I guess you're tier 1. I don't know. Why? Let's see. Because we adjusted a number of item power spikes over the past few patches, come to our attention that Cuddle outmatches other tiered 1 options. Our competition generally we're okay with being slightly more efficient. I guess that's just 25 health, so who cares, really? But Blackthorn, my god, bro, we just buffed this item. It's only decreasing health by 50. It's basically just a revert. If you guys remember, actually, we can go ahead and look. Yeah, so this is 11.5, literally a patch ago. They increased physical power by 5 to 40. They reverted that, and then they increased health from 300 to 350, and now they're reverting that. So we're back down to regular Blackthorn, and I gotta tell you, Blackthorn is still a very good item. I can't stress enough the idea that some items just need to get a small buff for people to realize how good the item is. I still think this item is going to be picked up, probably not as much as it used to. I always thought Blackthorn was a good item before the extra 5 and 50 health, 5 powered 50 health, and I still think it is. So like, some of these items are like mind over matter. Like when people see numbers, are like, oh, it got buffed, I want to use it now, and then it's like really good. Obviously it's a lot better than it once was. 50 power or 50 health and extra 5 power is gonna be better than not, you know, having that. But like the item was already good and you could already do stuff with it. So like, I still think this item is gonna be very good. Some people just need to see the visual of it being buffed, I guess. But hopefully this item's gonna be built more even still, because I still think it's a very good item. So nothing crazy. It's not going to be as good, but definitely still a very good item. Evolved prophetic cloak. So decrease first protection threshold to 325 from 525. Okay, That makes sense. I was actually thinking about this. In order to get the mitigations from a vault, or well, just prophetic cloak, obviously you need it to be evolved, but it implies it, whatever. You need to have 325, 525 protections. Well, with your scaling and base prots that you get from just your character being decreased because of 9.5, pre 9.5 patch, is going to make evolved prophetic cloak that much harder to get those mitigations. So it makes sense why you would bring it down. If you're going to bring down everyone's protections and protection scaling, you got to bring down some of those items that have thresholds that require you to get a certain amount of protections, especially if it's high, and vice versa, if that never happened or happens. However, they're decreasing first threshold mitigation from 7.5 to 6, and second to... So yeah, you get 525, you get your 7.5%, 325. So you'll get 15% mitigation once you get over 520 or 525 protections. That's included. So they're obviously combined physical and magical, and they combine to whatever number you get. So the more protections you get, the more tanky you get. And obviously you want to min max it to where, you know, if you get 525 protections, then you can build like, you know, a damage item afterwards. It make it a lot easier now. So now you only need 500, but again, they're decreasing it by 1.5 each, so it's actually, instead of 15% potential, now it's 12%, which I mean, prophetic cloak was really good to begin with, and now I still think it's very good too. It's just making it a little less tanky. You're gonna get the mitigations, which make you obviously tankier a lot sooner, but the mitigations are gonna be down by 3%. I still think this item's gonna be very good. Bronze mail, this is the new tier 1. Remember with tier 2s, they added a lot of passives. Some of them didn't, but most of them did get passives, and usually it resembles whatever it builds into. Added a 1 second cooldown to the passive. I'm assuming this builds into the breastplate. Okay, why are we doing that? I don't know. I don't know if this fucking matters. Though this tier 2 item may not be perceived as particularly strong, it has some unintended interactions with the gods like Jormungandr, whose basic attack very frequently. This cooldown will help to prevent these circumstances while not strongly affecting many other characters. Added a 1 second cooldown to 1 second cooldown to the passive. Actually, we can go ahead and look at that too. Okay, this makes more sense. I thought it was just adding 1 second cooldown to like everything. Or something, or like you'd get an extra 1 second cooldown or something. I don't know. Every fourth basic attack you are damaged by grants you a 75 health shield that lasts for 5 seconds or until destroyed. So that actually does make sense. So the internal, I'm guessing it's internal cooldown. Is that what it's referring to? Add a 1 second cooldown to the passive. Yeah. So obviously Jormungandr, Fafnir, those gods can take advantage of this very easily. I can see. I assume that's what they didn't account for, because Jormungandr can get this within like 1 second, and every fourth basic attack you just get 75 health shields over and over again. You can actually, that's fucking broken. I didn't even think about doing that. So that actually does fix that. So this is actually pretty good. Sorry, you Jormungandr and Fafnir abusers that I haven't ran into yet. Warrior's Axe getting a little bit of a nerf. Decreased passive base damage from 30 to 25, and decreased health and mana heal from 30 to 25. Makes sense. I mean, this item was always good for this entire year. And it makes sense because, I mean, a flat number of damage being 30, you kind of got to change that a little bit if you're going to reduce the health of everyone. So I'm not opposed to that. Warrior's Axe is still very good. With a decrease in base health, every game skirmishes have been solo lane. Yeah, solo lane or the warriors are still very good too. So doing this extra base damage is going to be a lot more important, which is why they did. I do agree with this. And that's all the items. Oh, no, items here. Buff. These are the nerfs. These are the buffs. Okay. Gilded Arrow decreased internal cooldown from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. So instead of every 10 seconds where you mark someone and you get a kill on like a minion or whatever, or buff camp, you get some gold. Now it's every 8 seconds. So you're actually saving 2 seconds. So like so you'd be getting about 6. This is obviously, you know, if you're on it to the point where like you're not wasting even a millisecond, you're getting 6 of these passives for every minion or whatever you get. Now it's gonna be what, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and then 56. So you're actually getting 7 instead of 6 for every minute, basically. Actually 7.5, actually, if you want to go with, like, by the logic of the actual time. So you're getting 7.5, even though it's not possible to get 7.5. You get what I mean. Instead of 6 with the 10-second cooldown. So that's nice. Gilded Arrow might be built a little bit more now. I still think I mean, honestly, a lot of the Hunter starters are, generally speaking, pretty good. You can kind of go into Death's Toll, Gilded Arrow, or a Leather's Cowl if you'd like. I think in Joust is a little different, but in Conquest, I think they're all pretty solid, especially with Gilded Arrow, crit, stuff like that. I think that's pretty fine. So this actually is pretty solid. Sentinel's Gift, increased health from 75 to 100, just by 25 health, not the craziest. The other starter, War Flag, is obviously been the go-to recently, so it kind of makes sense. I still think Sentinel is very good, though. And they're obviously doing the same thing with Benevolence. No one's been building Benevolence or Sentinel's Gift, really, just because... Why would you? You can go War Flag. War Flag just seems like a better version of the other two, even though these items aren't necessarily bad. That's what happens with a lot of items. Some items may be like good, or not necessarily bad, but if an item is just way better than it, then it kind of is at the same time. It kind of is kind of bad. So, Benevolence, increased health by 25, and then increased heal from 0.6 to 1% of your maximum health, which is pretty nice. 0.4, basically doubling it almost, which is pretty nice. Sorcerer Staff, this goes into Warlock Staff. With a decrease in max health, we wanted to provide a bit more benefit to those opting into this health-oriented magical tree. So this is tier 2. Increased health. My cats are going crazy in the back. Increased health and mana heal from 10% to 15%. Actually, let's go ahead and look at Sorcerer Staff. I don't remember what this does. Okay, yeah, that's right. On leveling up, heal 15% of your maximum health and mana over 3 seconds. So instead of 10, it's 5. I think it's okay. I think it's fine. It's not gonna be anything. I just think that tier 2s, I think you're gonna be leveling this up anyway, so it's like not the craziest amount of thing. It's more important now because of the time to kill and like the changes from 9.5. And 5% is pretty hefty. That's a pretty good amount. That's like 50% increase. So I mean, it's fine, but you're eventually gonna get out of this and go into another item. So, it's okay. Going into God nerfs. Bastet. I knew Bastet was going to get banned. Bastet's so good right now. I've been playing her a lot in Conquest, and she's very good. Especially in bursty meta. Yeah, there's a lot of burst, and so like gods like Bastet are going to burst pretty easily. But yeah, Bastet. Her 3 is getting... is the only thing that's getting nerfed. Ensnaring Claw. Unironically, I think this is probably one of the most underrated part of her kit, that being her Ensnaring Claw in her 3. I can't tell you how many times you set up the 3 and it sets up everything. If they're far away, you get that root, you can actually use your 2, you can set up for your ult, you can set up for everyone else too. So that small root that they added to her cat actually does a lot. And so I guess that's why they're probably doing it. It does a lot of damage on top of the fact that they did buff Bastet with it proccing item effects now. But let's see, decreased root damage from 60 to 200 from a plus 65%. I don't know why they did that backwards. 65% scaling plus 60 to 200. Now it's 60% scaling plus 55 to 195. So 5 less power overall, as well as 5% less scaling, which is pretty good. Pretty decent nerf. Just a small amount, but adds up. Decreased slow from 25 to 20%, and it gives a slow too. I mean, it gives a bunch of effects, man. Increased cooldown from 12 seconds to 14 to 12. I've been seeing these a lot. The ones that either have a flat cooldown and then eventually, in order to nerf them, they make it to where it's on a longer cooldown and then slowly scales back to its original point. Or things that if they have a buff, high res likes to bring like from a higher cooldown all the way down to like a flat reduction like that. So it kind of goes both ways, but honestly, this is pretty valid. I'm not gonna lie. Bastet's really good. Chunga, another god that's really good too. In a bursty meta, having her ult 3-1 combo just kill you is, not that great. It doesn't feel good either. Get the beads Aegis right on time, otherwise you die. If you don't have it up, you're just dead. And on top of that, with Chunga getting a passive change, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago, something like that, where every ability you hit on an enemy god, they take 5% increased damage. So you throw out your ult, they take 5% increased damage. You throw out your 3, they take another 5% increased damage. And then finally, you throw out your 1, and you get 10% extra damage. So a lot of the times with Chunga, I like to play a lot, or I used to. I don't play her much. I didn't really play her a lot because in a tanky meta, she's not very good. She kind of sucks. She kind of just destroys squishies, and that's kind of what her job is. She wasn't as good. But really, you would blink in, ult 3-1 combo, and just absolutely kill someone late game. And that was before 9.5. Now it's even better. So, Jade Rabbit, decreased damage taken debuff from 5% to 4. Okay, yes, like I was saying, 1%. So it stacks up to 3 times, or if I remember, so 15% extra damage. Now it's gonna be 12. It's going to make her burst obviously not as good, but 3%, it's not going to change much. I think the changes from 9.5 made it to where she just bursts down a lot easier, and that 3% isn't going to do much, honestly. Step in the right direction, I guess, for Chunga, as she definitely needed that. Going on to some buffs, Jingu has not been in the meta. Persistent Gust, this is her 1 increased damage for tick from 15 to 55 to 28 to 60. I mean, you don't really build Jingu to do damage on her abilities. It's usually her autos. So, I mean, this would be good for maybe the damage on minions. This is her 3 agility. Shifted cost from 75 to 55 to 60 at all ranks. Like I said before, changing it from a difference because, the reduction in mana is per level. And so they're changing it from this all the way to a flat 60 at all ranks. And then similarly decreased cooldown from 18 to 18 to 17, 17, 16 to 18, 17 and a half, 17, 16. I don't know why they have these ones. Like, you upgrade it and it doesn't do anything to the cooldown at all. So I do like this extra 0.5 in the middle of it. All right, on to the Morrigan. Morrigan, I mean, I feel like she's pretty good. I mean, a buff wouldn't be bad to her. Let's see, increased base health from 400 to 450. Increased base physical protections from 12 to 14. Interesting. I'm actually curious why they did this. They're basically just kind of like reverting the 9.5, but just for her a little bit, not like entirely, just a little bit. Morrigan relies heavily on getting close to her enemies, and the time to kill changes have made that quite a bit more difficult. We're adding just a little bit more tankiness to her base stats. Hopefully she's enough to alleviate some of her issues. I guess. I mean, she was always one of those gods that you can kind of just one shot. You have a high skill ceiling for her because of her ult, obviously. I'm not opposed to this. I think that being able to have this god be played more often, I think is always good. Or we're buffing Merc, and it seems to be a lot. Holy shit. I'd be careful with Mercury in a fucking burst meta with crit and shit like that. That's gonna... I don't know, man. I hate going up... I hate seeing a Merc in Conquest. Maximum velocity, this is his 2, and decreased cooldown from 18 to 14 to 16 to 14. So that's going to be up a lot more. Special delivery, I believe that's his 3. Increased damage per tick from 15 to 30 to 15 to 35. Making his burst even more. Well, I guess DPS a little bit higher. Sonic Boom, decreased cooldown from 100 seconds to 90 seconds. So his ult's going to be up all the time. You don't build this guy with a lot of cooldown. So his ult is going to probably be around the 90 seconds. So that's that's just how that's gonna be. But fucking Merc, man, I guess I have to start playing Merc. I feel like Merc was already in a pretty okay spot. It wasn't like the best, but I thought he was in an okay spot because I don't like fucking seeing him. But I mean, I ran into some Mercs recently in this meta, and they fucking one shot you, man. And then finally Hera, a very short one. So Royal Assault, that's her fists. Decreased cooldown from 10 seconds to 8. Yeah, she's been getting a lot of buffs. She just isn't good, and so I guess that's why they're buffing her. It's gonna be one of those Neath effects where Neath just wasn't a good god until they finally just keep buffing her and buffing her and buffing her until eventually she's just like a solid god, top of A or something like that. And I'm assuming that's what they're gonna do with Hera, because Hera is just not very good after like 3 buffs after so long. It's still not very good. And then Argus the Defender, increased item proc damage from 50 to 100% damage and healing. Okay, so let's see. What are some item effects? You can get soul gem procs off of it. I guess you get, what's that? Gem of isolation. But it's more of damage. So actually, let's go look and see some items. All right, here's some of the mage items. You got Soul Reaver now getting 100% proc off of her ult. Ethereal Staff, Gem of Isolation, I was just saying earlier. Obviously, Soul Gem. I mean, you have Tablet of Destiny. That'd be interesting. I don't think it's very good, but you know, Curse Weaver as well. That'd be very. And now it's gonna be 100%. So instead of, you know, being cut in half, it's gonna be 100%. So that's pretty good. I don't know how much is gonna change, but I might try her out just to see how she is. Just to see if, you know, maybe we're overlooking something. Maybe she's actually good. But yeah, this is probably one of the more notable ones for her specifically. But that's basically it. Notable changes is probably the Bastet. I still think Bastet's going to be good. Chunga is going to be good. All these are going to be pretty solid. Nothing really changes dramatically or whatever. You still got prophetic cloak. Prophetic cloak, although they say it's technically a nerf, I still think it's actually kind of a buff overall, having less protections and stuff like that. So nothing crazy. Nothing's going to change the game too much. Not that we really expected. This is Staff of Miran is not going to be as good. That's a notable one. But I mean, with them, you know, focusing on Smite 2, and most of the stuff here isn't going to change too much. So 11.6, still got your 9.5, still got all of your go-to. We'll see go-to gods and items you would build. We'll see what happens at 11.7. Not that bonus balances are supposed to be doing crazy things, but you know, small changes, and I think that's sort of what they did. So nothing crazy. But yeah, this is live today. Again, this is in the URL. The URL will be in the description down below. But what do you guys think? You have any feedback or suggestions? Let me know. Discord is open if you'd like to join that. Have, you know, closer contact to me rather than just YouTube comments. We got people in there looking for games, talking, stuff like that. So if you'd like to join that, description is down below. We have our tournament, $300 tournament on July 26th. So, you know, read the rules for that and everything. Make sure you qualify. I should be making a video up for that soon too. And then lastly, I have memberships open. One of the best ways to support me, $2.99 a month if you'd like. Obviously, you don't have to. Just watching my video is good enough for me. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section down below if you'd like. But I think that's everything that I have for you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.